Hi, I'm Sean Michael Foley, one of your 2016 Mayish Design Stars, and welcome to February, the month of Valentine's Day, as all of us florists know all too well. So what we're going to cover this month is the new garden style, which everybody has their own little opinion on it. Here's my take on it: how to give it a focal and a line so it makes a little bit more sense that it's not just all willy-nilly. And to top it off, we're going to use some vintage glassware. Not milk glass, not mason jars. We're going to use some beautiful black amethyst from my own personal collection. So let's get started and let's go to the workroom. Now I've taken our vintage glassware and I've already prepped it with foam. What I did is I just simply used our Oasis Max Life and I already contoured it to kind of have a slope going around the edge. This will help you keep a more generalized, rounder shape when you're doing your design. So let's start off with this garden style that's now really new and trending. You can't just go about it all willy-nilly and insert stems and make it wild. You still need to have some sort of thought going through it. So that's what we're going to cover today. So first off, let's start with making a focal area with these beautiful red heart roses. Now, red heart roses are one of my favorites because they're a standardized rose, but they open very similar to a garden rose. So a real quick way to open them, once you've stripped off the thorns and foliage, just put them between your hands and just twist them. And then they're just open like that. So let's go ahead and get some of these in. We're going to start with our focal. And we're just going to add a few like that. I like to do mine in threes. You can do yours in a pair or you can do yours in a five, whatever you're comfortable with. And it depends on the size of your container. All right. Okay, now from here we're going to work on our line. To get line going when doing these arrangements, I recommend you run it through your focal area. This will help have a little continuity to your design and ultimately give your eye, and if you're doing a photo shoot, the camera a place to focus and rest. This creates a really good balance overall. Now I'm going to start by building this line that I mentioned earlier. This is where a lot of us will go to the ranunculus and the anemone, which are beautiful here, a couple different shades, and we'll get to those. This is one that's a new favorite of mine. This is the new black ranunculus that you can get through Mayish. I think it's beautiful. It has a gorgeous, deep eggplant undertone, perfect for darker colors and darker palettes. So let's just start with these here. And I tend to, the farther it is from the focal, the smaller you want the bloom. That's more natural of a look for the way plants and flowers grow. So it'll ultimately give you a better design. Now, I like using a knife when I'm handling more sensitive stems like this that are hollow. If you use a clippers, that's totally fine. Just make sure you don't collapse it all the way. I'm going to reinforce this line with a little bit of foliage. This is very common to see different foliages used for this garden style look. But make sure you do it with purpose though. Don't just go, stabbing it in the dark. So we're going to use it to keep going with this line here, just to bring it all together. Kind of helps us tell the story a little bit of our design. All right, and that helped reinforce our line a little bit. Now I'm going to fill in a couple of holes with some seeded eucalyptus. Now, many of you have already worked with seeded eucalyptus. If it's a little bit dry, go ahead and just pull a few of the leaves off. The seeds last much longer than the foliage does. And really that's what we're after, is that seed anyways. So I'm going to add a little of this in just to give it a little more drape, make it look a little less formal. And a little bit of green will just liven it up a little bit. I'm just going to continue greening in the back. A little bit of seeded eucalyptus, and I'm also going to add a few roses. Now with the roses I add to the back, I'm just going to do them a little bit kitty corner or catty corner to the ones in the front. So these three are here. I'm going to add a little cluster there. Just kind of helps balance it, and it just keeps the lines all playing well with each other. So on and so forth. I'll just spin this around so you can see what I've done in the back. So see, we got a little bit of ways to go there. We'll just fill that in with some greenery and a few different things there. But we have a nice cluster of roses here and a cluster of roses there. Just weights everything beautifully. Now I'm going to add a little bit of this beautiful plum and burgundy anemone from Mayish. I absolutely love these. They have a very big flower size. And as you can see too, they have this gorgeous inner eye that almost glows at you. So we're going to add a few of these to help bridge our darker colors and our brighter colors together. This is a good way to fill in a few little focal area holes, just to bridge it all together. Once again, putting my smaller anemone out farther and trying to keep my bigger ones in closer. Now I'm going to add a little bit of a waxier smooth texture to help combat and balance out all of this ruffly texture we have going on. A great one that I like are these beautiful red rose hips provided by Mayish. Nice waxy, very fun. I went ahead and I pre-cut these because, as most of you know, rose hips are incredibly angry little things, lots of thorns, so I decided I would spare you the inappropriate language and all of that on film. So we're going to take these rose hips, I'm going to add them in wherever I have just a little bit of a hole, just to fill that in. And that in turn will help kind of provide a little bit of relief for the tension that all this texture is creating for your eye. I'm going to add a little bit more of a softer flower as well to help keep softening out the harder line going on. So we have this beautiful Estrange Rosé provided by Mayish. I love this flower because it looks almost like a clover that's been a little bit beefed up. So we'll add a little bit of that in here. And this will add a little bit of a brightness to it or a lightness to it. That's not going to be necessarily a hot pink color. With it being more of a muted mauve, it'll play better with our fusion of colors going. So here you have the more controlled way of making a garden style arrangement with the new modern line going through it and a soft focal. This will help give it just an overall more controlled look and just a better, more finished quality to set you apart from your competition. Now I'm going to make a few more of these for our final installation, so I have a little bit more work to do, so I'll see you next door. Well, I may have gotten a little bit carried away with making a few extra pieces, but you get the idea overall. In short, that's how you do the new modern garden style, giving it a great focal, a little bit of line running through it, a little bit more rhyme and reason. Balancing out your textures and colors is going to give you an amazing Valentine's Day.